Hello, I'm going to try and show you how to create layers that utilize letters and lines in order to create composite images. Going to File and New, I'm going to select a 5x4 inch output size with a 300 resolution. That brings a very nice box over here. I'm going to double click on this particular background to create a layer first that is going to be something that I can work with. You'll notice that the little lock has disappeared, and I'm going to now click inside the layer thumbnail and actually take this to a complete zero opacification, which means that it is now completely translucent. So I'm going to use the line feature. You'll notice the line brings up the line tool over here. I'm going to use 10-point font size and white as a color. If you click on it, you can choose whatever color you like. I'm going to take this out into its box form so that I can see it more easily. So first I'm going to align immediately as close to the 2.5 as I can, and then using the Shift key while I'm holding down the left mouse, I'm able to draw a completely vertical line without having any problems. Again, you need to click on the layer in order to create a new layer, and here I'm going to line up as easily and well as I can with the 2-inch mark, hold down the Shift key, and again draw a layer so that it has created a horizontal line now. I'm also going to click back here and create as many of these lines as I can for each of the various subtypes. So in other words, I'm going to first create by holding the Shift and mouse key a left-hand one. I'm now going to click on the base. Let me go down a little bit so that you can see where I'm going out to. I'm going to Shift and draw one that goes out to the right-hand side. I'm now going to do the same thing here, Shift and up so that there's a vertical line, and finally on the bottom, hold down the mouse, click and Shift and draw the line so that it is going down to the outer aspect. So now I've created each of these. Let's give these all shapes. I'm just going to call it vertical, horizontal, left, and all I'm doing is double clicking in the name in order to create it. This is going to be upper, and this is going to be lower. So you will, and I did that because L is for left over here. So now I have completely created a whole series of grids. What I would like to do, though, is to make sure that they are perfectly centered and aligned against the overall grid. You will notice these little eyes along the side are just telling you which ones you're seeing, and if you click them once, they will just completely disappear and allow you to only see the vertical line. By using the Control and plus key, I'm able to maximize the overall size, and you will notice that I am at 1600% if you look here in the upper corner. I'm now going to click on the Move feature, and if you click in the actual box, you will notice that it has drawn a black line around it. If I unclick, you'll see the black line goes away. If I click, the black line reappears. Now, by using the Control and the arrow keys, I'm able to move this over to try and get this center point, which represents the 2.5-inch mark, as completely aligned between these two as possible, and you'll see that that is now perfectly aligned. Let's go here to the horizontal. And again, if I click on the layer first and click in this, you will notice it has now brought up the actual grid lines. And when I look at the placement by using the Control up and down keys, you can tell that this is now perfectly aligned on that 2-inch mark. Since I want to make sure that the left and right are going to match up with this as well, I'm going to click on the left just as an example with this horizontal line. And I think you can see that if I toggle back and forth, with this, you can see that it is ever so slightly too high. So let me click on that layer, click again so that it forms a black line, and I've used the Control arrow down 1 key. You will also notice that it's right here dead center, which means that it'll perfectly align later on. Let me not view that, and let's view the right one over here. Again, if I click on it, you will see that it is actually quite remarkably well aligned, and I'm going to just move it over ever so slightly with the Control and arrow direction keys so that it is lined up as closely to that 2.5 centimeter mark. Okay, let's undo those, go to the vertical, and here for the vertical upper, I'm going to highlight this. You will see now that that vertical is in fact not aligned. So Control and using the left arrow, I'm able to move it over until it's perfectly aligned. Let's do that for the lower arrow, and I'm going to click on that. Click into the space so that it lines up, and now I'm going to move it with the Control key until it too is perfectly aligned with that particular space and allows me to have a well-developed line. Let me go back up here and just see if I can line it up better, and I cannot. So that's going to be the way it is, and so I think that's quite well developed. Control minus takes you all the way back down to this particular grid. So now each of these lines are perfectly aligned with one another, and if you look at each of them, you'll notice here you have the grids together. As I bring in all of these others, you will notice you don't see anything because, of course, they perfectly overlap what you're seeing below, and this is a good way to know that you have seen all of them together. Now, what I would like to do is just demonstrate once how you can combine these so that you create a new feature for them. So if I click first on the layer, then do a right mouse click, it brings up that particular layer's features, and I'm first going to duplicate the layer, and it's called HCopy because this is the horizontal line. Click once in the vertical, right click, go up to duplicate layer and create a vertical layer. Now if I click once in this and then just drag, it places it immediately underneath both of these, and you'll notice the little eyes need to be on so that you can see them. Now I'm going to hold down my Control key and click on V, which now means those two layers are highlighted, and now I'm going to right-click the mouse and merge those two layers. So now I've created a single merge, and in fact I'm going to now call this vertical and horizontal, and in essence you have now created a composite of that particular layer that allows you to be able to see it in the future. Let me do that again just so that you can see what I mean by creating a vertical that now has a right line. So let's go and do a duplicate layer of the vertical again. And then I'm going to do the right line. Let's make sure that I can see it. I'm going to duplicate that layer first. So here is a duplicate of it. Click once in the layer and drag it up to be immediately below the copy. You can see that if I turn off these other ones, because we don't need to see those, I just want you to see this. If I click here once, Control, and click the next layer, right-click, and merge those two layers, you can now see that I've created a vertical that has a right hook to it. So in essence,